Hello, my name is Debbie Ison and I am a therapist and a therapy trainer, and I'm here to answer your questions. So today I've been asked about negative self-talk and what you can do to overcome that. I've actually had a recent situation where I experienced that, something that used to be commonplace for me, but since I've learned how to work on myself it rarely happens. However, a situation caught me off guard and I noticed that little voice creeping back in. I'd had a scenario where the kids had been a little bit naughty, however I told them off more than I would like to have done. And afterwards I had that awful parent guilt and I started to really tell myself off. I had that inner critical voice. Luckily for me, because I'm aware of my thought processes, I caught myself doing it. And I recognised how counterproductive it was. I was there saying the most awful things to myself, being really quite cruel and really punishing myself. Whereas in reality, I would never speak to anybody else like that, and I would not allow anyone else to speak to me like that. So I thought for a moment, why am I allowing this? Because I realised whilst I was busy telling myself off in my mind, it was preventing me finding any solutions or making changes for the future. So what I did is I used a simple NLP technique to change that inner voice, and I would like to share that with you now. Now this is really very useful, it's very quick and it's very easy to do. So what you do first is you start to think about the components of that inner voice, rather than the content of what it's saying, how it's being said. So to start with, I thought, is it my own voice that I'm hearing saying it, or does it belong to someone else? So I had a client once, for example, who was very self-critical and had low self-esteem. And whenever she did something wrong, she would berate herself and tell herself off in her mind. So I got her to focus on that internal dialogue. And she discovered that the voice she heard was that of her father's. And at that point there was a lot of emotional release, because she realised that although her father was unkind in life to her, he had been deceased for 20 years, and yet every day since she still had his voice in her mind telling her off and telling her that she was stupid and useless. And actually we resolved that very quickly by changing it. When I was working on myself the other day, I realised it was my own voice. So that was the first thing I noted. Then I listened for the volume, how loud or quiet I was saying it, the tone of voice, the pitch of voice, and also the direction the sound appeared to be coming from. And this gave me an idea as to how my mind was constructing that internal dialogue. And as soon as you know the structure of a thought, you can do something to change it. So the first thing I did is I changed the pitch. I made it quite high and squeaky, even higher and squeakier than my own actual voice, because it took the emotional intensity out of it. I also then changed the direction that it was coming from. It was as though it was coming through this ear, so I changed it instead so it was coming from behind me. And it instantly made it easier and it made it feel like it was further away. All I then did was I then turned the volume all the way down to off, and there I no longer had that internal dialogue. And what it allowed me to do was to have clearer thought processes, and instead of telling myself off, which was very over the top for just raising my voice a little bit, instead it allowed me to find a more appropriate solution and to feel better about the situation. Now you can change whatever components you need to change. It might be that you slow the words down, so between each word you pause. You might make it go deeper or higher pitched. You might make it go super duper fast. You might put on a silly voice. You might even space each word out by putting a different word in the middle, or by counting. Do whatever you need until it no longer has the same emotional impact. And then all you need to do is save those changes. And that's really simple, just in the same way as if you were saving a Word document, for example. But how we save in the mind by getting the mind to think of something different momentarily. So it may be giving yourself a simple sum, like what's 2 add 2? It may be thinking, what's the last thing you had to eat? Or perhaps the last person you spoke to. So have a go, have a play with that and see how you get on the next time you're telling yourself off or being unkind to yourself. See if there is that internal dialogue, and if so, use the techniques I've just described to change how you feel about it. Please remember to like and subscribe and let me know how you get on. I hope you have a great day, and bye-bye for now.